Good morning. Today is February 16th, and this is the Town of the Surf City workshop. We are so glad to see everyone here today. We got a lot of good stuff on our agenda, especially the Army Corps project, updating our beach nourishment project. I'm going to call the meeting to order, and at this time I'm going to call on Councilwoman Trudy Solomon to lead us in an invocation. If you would, please stand.
Dear Almighty Father, we thank you for giving us this beautiful place to live. We thank you for creating these wonderful people who live and work here, who work so hard for our town to keep us safe, to provide opportunities, to provide friendships. We appreciate all of our neighbors here today, their participation, their involvement, their heart, for just us all wanting to live in a wonderful place, to raise our families, to leave a legacy. Lord, we're just thankful for all that. We ask that you protect us, keep us from harm, guide our thoughts, Lord. Help us to always understand each other and love each other better. And we just pray over our town and the people who serve us so well with our fire department and our police department, and some of those people represented here today too. We're thankful for all of them. We pray these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
And if you would continue standing, and Mayor Pro-Tem Jeremy Shugarts will lead us in our pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At this time, we will have public comment, and you had a chance to sign up when you came in the door for your time to speak, and there will be a 3-minute limit when you speak. So I'm going to call on Carla to start calling off the names on that list to come up for your public comment.
We have James Conway.
Start my timer. Thank you all for being here today. I'm going to speak very positively about my experience with a wonderful event that occurred last year. That was Surf City Live for the second time. My wife told me today, just speak with the facts, and the fact is we had an absolute blast. It was a lot of fun. I can't redo that experience for my daughter being in that front row, and I know my experience probably was a little bit different from other of those that are there. But the whole point in it is I'm not even a country music fan, but I have a great sense of pride in things that happen in Surf City that promote growth, technology, cohesiveness. The fact that the prior council approved this 2 times, which is awesome. I know seeing the mayor there, how much fun you had. It was beautiful. As a business investor, I never intended to get more business from this. I'm investing just like I do by being a homeowner, a property investor, a business owner in this town, that I'm investing back into the community. And I think it's important to remember that, there's free events, there's paid events, but stuff like this really does put this town on the map. And, when we have to come together, whether it be for an event or for Florence, it's a proud moment for me to call Surf City home. I put full faith into all of you up there because I know it's not an easy task. But I think this event has proven itself to be one of the largest accomplishments, just like when we come together when we really need each other. After going through COVID, I remember I probably went to a concert a lot of you wouldn't went to, and I went to Metallica. And I've said I would love to see Metallica in Surf City. That's not going to happen, but it's okay. So I say, we just dive all in on this and, make it a success for a third year. I'm sure there's plenty of people that are going to come up here with different viewpoints. I totally respect all their viewpoints, but, Surf City Proud was the motto we gave after that horrific fire on Atkinson, and Surf City Proud for this event. And honestly, the fact of the matter is that whether I would have put money in or not, my daughter's face after Scotty signed her hat was priceless. So 2 weeks later, when I attend my NC State football games, as I love my season tickets and my wife hates, Scotty was the first one onto the field. And that made me very proud to be from Surf City. So thank you all very much.
Katie, louder.
Good morning. Thanks for having me. Same as Jim, Houston and I are not concert goers. The older we get, the less I like being around a lot of people, to be honest with you. So concerts in Wilmington, concerts in Raleigh, I feel hurted. We don't like them. But here in Surf City, we like putting our money towards that concert as a business owner because we know we're going to have a great experience. The free events that Surf City puts on are wonderful. They're definitely more family driven. We go to those, but I think once Surf City Live comes around, we're there to expect a different event. We're not bouncy housing. We don't have kids running everywhere. It's a different fun event. As far as the budget goes, we voted you guys in. I have faith in y'all that y'all are going to make the right decision on the budget for this event, but I definitely don't want to see this event not happen. So looking forward to the third year and being a sponsor. Thank you.
Kara Longo.
Good morning. First, I would like to say thank you to everybody, the town of Surf City, the volunteers that make this happen. My husband and I thoroughly enjoy the concert. We were sponsors for both of them. We intend on being sponsors in the future. In fact, when we left the last concert, all we said was, I think we want to increase our sponsorship for more tickets to bring more of our family in there with us or friends. And it's just an overall good time. I'm sure there will be different opinions here today, and I'm sure we can come together and make suggestions if, maybe their experience is different from ours. And yeah, we intend on sponsoring in the future, so we'd like to see that happen.
Thank you.
Jeff Wenzel.
Good morning, Council and Mayor. Wanted to speak about how of a unique event the Surf City Live is. From a community perspective, having a headliner here in Surf City is what makes Surf City Live unique. There's plenty of venues that offer live music all throughout the year, especially during the summer, that's available, but actually having a headliner here in the area is unique. My family and I go to about 4 to 6 concerts a year, mainly at the Wilson Center. And so when we go there, we have to pay for parking, and the tickets usually, even in our nosebleed section, typically anywhere from $45 and up for the Wilson Center tickets, which we also thoroughly enjoy. But Surf City bringing this event to the community impacts all of the community, and I really feel that the headliner really is important. That's what makes this event unique. Being in Hawley Ridge here, we enjoy the closeness of this. We're partners, obviously, with a lot of things, and I certainly would not want to see this event not exist. But if that does happen, maybe Hawley Ridge could hire the organizers and we could have a Hawley Ridge live event, because it would be unique to the area as well, too. And we got a nice big park, too, to have it, too. Anyway, Kyle, our Parks and Rec can talk to each other's Parks and Recs, but that's a joke. Maybe.
Maybe.
But in all seriousness, it's good that we are having this community discussion about this, because it is a community. It is Surf City, yes, but it's also a community. And it's honestly, this is a good thing to be talking about, because you could be talking about mold. That's just a reality. So it's good that we're talking about sand and fun events, because that's what the community's biggest issues are right now. And so keep that in mind as well, too. You guys are in a great position. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jerry Eamon.
Good morning, Madam Mayor and Board. Surf City Live was a great event. Both my wife and I totally enjoyed this. And we're from Massachusetts, and my wife worked at a venue called Music Circus. And she handled the writers for all the celebrities that came into there. And for her to say this was well-planned, well-organized, and well-orchestrated, you did a great job, everyone that was involved. We've talked to people that have gone there, and some people complain about the traffic and the parking. It's nothing. Go to Fenway Park and see a Red Sox game, you're going to know about parking. And as my wife would say, Fenway Park with her accent. But, and even if it rained, people would still show up. I was in commercial construction for 50 years, and people would ask, how can you work in the winter, in the cold? And in the same sentence, they would say, they're going snowmobiling or skiing out in the cold. People endure the elements. They'll go regardless. You did a great job, and we would like to see it continue as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sandy Monroe.
Morning. I'm envious of all of you that are excellent at getting up here and free speaking, but I'm using my notes. So I wanted to say that I personally support live music, and I support bringing these headliner acts to Surf City in the off-season. Obviously, we can't compete with Wilmington or Live Oak Pavilion in those places, and we shouldn't try to. We should try to keep our events small, high-quality, intimate, and good for our local area. Some people were talking about tourism and whether or not it's actually impacting tourism or not. Obviously, I don't have all those great numbers, but I know that as a marketing professional, this is still a growing event that's building awareness, and we have many fall events that are creating a destination situation for Surf City for people to come. As a rental property owner, and many of you are, as well as many of those in the audience, we're seeing more and more bookings in the fall and in the off-season because of these wonderful events. But the best part about it is this is geared towards us as residents, and it's geared towards adults, to echo what others have already said. I love that we have all of the free, family-friendly events in the summer that residents can attend, obviously, but they are more driven towards the tourists. And as residents, quite frankly, we don't even go because then it is too crowded, too many people. Nothing against children, love them, raised them, but I don't want to sit around with all of that every weekend. So we're excited to have a variety of events. My company has been a sponsor of the event for the last 2 years, and last year I attended in one of our VIP tickets as a sponsor, so my experience was very different from those maybe that were in the audience, but everything that I saw was so professionally done, so well run. There was no traffic issues from what I saw. People that did drive in and park, I talked to them the next day. They were out of there in 20 minutes or so after the event, and they were super pleased with all of that. I don't know how it impacts the local businesses, and I'm sure we're going to hear a little bit more about that. But last but not least, as a sponsor, we sponsor this event at the same level that we sponsor other events. We get a similar return. I don't necessarily see a huge increase in our business as a real estate company, but it enhances the lifestyle, making it a better draw for those looking to relocate to this area. I would like to see a better survey afterwards that is geared towards sponsors so that we can give specific feedback about our sponsorship level and the impact or the results that we may or may not see from that. But outside of that, that was the only thing that I would have liked to have seen differently. So thank you for letting me speak.
Thank you.
Adam Graves.
Good morning, Adam Graves. Same thing. I'm going to piggyback off all them. Surf City Live is a great event. It's something I can take my wife to, something we can come out, let our hair down, no kids at all, and have a good time. For 2 years in a row, I've been part of kind of the setup, and to see how hard people work out there every day to set that thing up and to put on the big show was really great. My in-laws came from Florida to come up for the show. I have family in Maryland that came down just to see Scotty McCreery. Diamond Rio, I thought they were old and washed up. They're not. They're really, really good. So I wouldn't have been able to see that if it wasn't here in Surf City. So please approve the budget, and thank you for letting me speak.
Chris Medlin.
Good morning, council people. How are y'all today? Chris Medlin, business owner that is impacted by the live event. my business down between 70 and 80% on that day when you guys have the Surf City Live event. I've spoken with 7 other businesses in the area, and everybody's saying the same thing, 70 and 80% down whenever you guys have the concert. I didn't mind. I was here today because I heard you were going to do a second day, and I'm okay with sacrificing one day of business for this. But if you guys increase it at all, it's like Surf City is taking money out of my pocket and putting it in their pocket. And that's me having to compete with the town for the tourism around here. The 7 other businesses I called were restaurants, real estate companies, other places like that, and nobody saw an increase in business. Everybody saw a decrease in business that I spoke with. So if you guys would please keep that in mind, I would really appreciate it if we kind of do the best that we can. Definitely please don't expand it. So thank you.
Michael Hill.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and Council. I just wanted to speak just real briefly. I'm not a country music fan whatsoever, and I went to both concerts, Surf City Live. The first one, I had never even heard of Diamond Rio or whoever that was. I understand they were pretty big in the 90s, but the thing that I was impressed with is, I don't go to a lot of town events like Ocean Fest and stuff like that, just mainly because I'm out of town or whatever. But I was so impressed with the organization and how smoothly everything ran with that particular show. The second one, I bought 20 tickets for my little community around, and we all went, and everyone to a person had an outstanding time. So again, from someone who's not a country music fan whatsoever, I just enjoy getting out there and having a beverage with my friends and neighbors and supporting the community. And I'd like to say something about you guys, and I just happened to notice on the agenda the amount of hours that were put into planning this event. It was like, I don't know how many meetings and how many hours that were involved, which is very, very impressive. So it's not, as some people tend to think, it's one person or anything like that. It's our whole town. It's our mayor. It's our town manager. And speaking of Kyle, I know being on the committee with him, he looks at every dime that this city spends or this town spends, and so I feel 100% confident in whatever budget that you guys come up with, because I know it has to go through him, and he's on top of it. So, but anyway, the only thing that I would say is I'd just like to have different genres considered. But overall, it's been fantastic. 2 years in a row. I mean, gosh, you couldn't put on a better show than that as far as planning. So thank you.
Thank you.
Marty.
Sorry, don't hear good. Good morning, Madam Mayor, Council. First of all, I'd just like to say the city is not in the business of doing concerts. The city is in the business of governing our city. The concerts they're great. We don't have the facility to do it. If councilman wants a concert, let him support it himself. He has businesses, he can get the money to do it. The city, he can rent from the city the land that it's going to be on. He can rent the police force for security. And we all make money. The city makes money, more than what you're going to make off of a concert. You're not making enough money off of your past 2 concerts. I know that you have made money, supposedly, quote, quote, but nobody has seen the figures that what you have made. So if the council wants to have the concert, let him have a concert. I have no problem with that. But put his own money up. He has businesses, he can do that. Rent from the city, rent the police force for security, and then everybody is making money, especially the city will be making a lot more money than you would be off of just a regular concert. We don't have the area for a concert, especially a 2-day one. For $300,000, take your money and go down and fix canal streets. None of you live on the canal streets. I live on the canal streets. They are in horrible conditions. You do patch jobs, they're a piece of crap. So go down there sometimes when it floods and try to get through there. As far as the concerts go, that's a bad idea. Take care of the infrastructure first, then talk about entertainment. Bottom line, city is not into entertainment. The city is to governing with our tax dollars, not somebody else's. So, Councilman, if you want your concerts, feel free to do so. Use your own money. You have the business to do that, and then rent the land. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Mike Harrington.
Good morning. Thank you. Mike Harrington. I own the Loggerhead Inn. Been a business owner and property owner down here for going on, I guess, 9 years now. Just going to echo a lot of other people in here. I mean, the concert itself was, I guess, a way to stimulate some activity, stimulate some business in the off season. It sounds like, and I didn't go to the first one. This year we hopped on as a pretty big sponsor, and I can tell you we had a phenomenal time. My business, of course, we're a hotel, so it's a little bit different than some of the others in here, but of course we had an uptick in business, especially that time of year. It was very well run. I think we ended up buying another 10 tickets or so for the show, gave them out to our team, our staff, family. And I understand the fact that it's a little unique for a town to put on something like this, but we own hotels in other markets as well, the Outer Banks, Oak Island, and I can tell you this event, without a shadow of a doubt, is better than anything those markets have ever tried to put on, and they do, and towns do put on town-run events, so it's not unheard of to do stuff like this. So, however this continues to evolve or change or grow, I know it's on you guys to consider the town and everybody's needs, but I mean, from my perspective, my business and our experience, A+. So thank you.
Brent Springer.
Good morning, board. I'm Brent Springer. I have the honor of serving you, each and every one of you, as well as the ones in the audience on the Board of Education. Today I come to you to speak about the concert, Surf City Live. My family and I have been able to participate as a sponsor in this. For that, I thank you as a board member as well as a citizen of Pender County. This creates clean fun as well as impeccable memories. It allows business owners to network. As far as the budget goes, the whatever's at stake, I would ask that it be expanded, possibly in contrast to some of the other ones, to have 2 of them a year, one for the spring, one for the fall. I would also challenge the naysayers to conduct fact checks. If it's creating a downsize in business, do not pay yourself to be in business. Shut your business down for a day and allow yourself to go to that concert if you do so wish. And generating revenue to pay for infrastructure. This is a big event, and it's very well planned out and organized. Like I said, it creates impeccable memories for kids that do go. The price of one Scotty McCreery ticket in Oklahoma for 2024 is around $280. So for the price of a ticket at Surf City Live in comparison to a price of a ticket somewhere else, such as Raleigh or Charlotte, is beyond my imagination as to what Surf City charges, and not more. I'm glad the prices are the way they are. and wouldn't ask you to do anything further than what you're doing. Thank you.
Tim Zizek.
You're afraid of that name, it's Zizak. My public comments today do not represent the town of Topsail Beach. I am a commissioner in Topsail Beach, but my comments are coming from a resident of Topsail Beach. My comments are targeted at Surf City Live, and I want to stress that it's a regional event. I live in Topsail Beach, and the rental houses on my block were rented that weekend. People attended this event. The board is managing the business of Surf City. Like any other business, you look at budgets, expenses, and revenues. You have to operate the town, and I know you're going through budget season because I am in Topsail Beach as well. The most difficult thing we have and the most challenging thing we have as board members is to generate revenue. There's only limited channels of revenue. And when someone comes up with an idea, you go with it, and if it's profitable, you continue to do it. This event is a revenue channel for Surf City. I'm not going to talk about the emotional part of it. I'm not going to talk about the concert, which I attended. I'm going to talk about the business part of it. This investment has been successful for 2 years. Increased investment will increase your profit. That's been proven over the last 2 years. I would not stop investing personally if the returns were not there. I'd find something else to invest in. This is a regional event that has a positive impact to Surf City that generates revenue. You can't get any basic than that. You cannot quantify the total impact of this event. The staff building has to be considered, putting this thing together in a time. As a resident of Topsail Beach, I'd like you to approve the resolution to increase the budget for this event this year and future dates until you decide the revenue is not needed, and make a business decision, not an emotional decision. Thank you for your time.
Eric Shirley.
All right, good morning. I just wanted to say, from a personal perspective, my family and I moved to Surf City about a decade ago. And one of the things we loved about this town was the community feel. Small community feel, everyone was out and about. Now that we have this awesome new bridge, you see people walking on the bridge. I walked it this morning. And one of the things I enjoyed most about the Surf City Live event was the sense of community that it brought together. At one point, I was in the sponsorship area. I'm a local business owner. My business will continue to sponsor this event, as will my future businesses. It was an awesome event, and at one point it had started to drizzle. I was there with my wife and 2 kids, and we looked back, and I saw 3,000 of my neighbors and my community together, sharing one awesome moment under the stars, and it was just an awesome experience. My kids loved it, my wife loved it, my friends loved it, and to be in that area with fellow business owners and share in that was just a fantastic experience. One other thing I want to talk about is, yes, your job is to govern, but one of your other jobs is to create community experiences. We have a Parks and Rec department that puts on youth athletic events. Those are not profitable events. They're for the betterment of the community. And I think a lot of this is about building community. And I think it was an awesome event. I think it was great for the community. I do understand it impacted some businesses for a day, and that's a byproduct that's unfortunate. But for the greater good of the community, I thought it was an awesome event, and I hope that the town passes the motion and the budget for it and continues it in future years. Thank you.
Frankie Williams. Jason Simmons.
Good Good morning, Mayor Batts, Surf City Town Council members. My name is Jason Simus. My wife and I own Shuck and Shack Oyster Bar and own property here in Surf City. One of the topics you'll be discussing today is Surf City Live. I'm not here today to oppose Surf City Live. My wife and I sponsored Surf City Live. We attended both the years prior and enjoyed ourselves. The effort put forth by the Parks and Recreation Department was appreciated. At our restaurant, we have a yearly budget. Our budget includes money for payroll, food, utilities, apparel, and even live music. Now that we've been open 8 years, we have data of past sales and trends. We track things like supplies, payroll, total sales, and of course, profit. Our budget normally doesn't go over what we made the previous year because of one variable, new customers. We cannot count on them because they are not our customers yet. In December, the Parks and Recreation Department presented you with a proposal to extend Surf City Live an additional day, as well as increase the budget. A couple council members said that the town makes money and there's no risk. But the town isn't making money. The town has actually been over budget both years. You see, one item in your proposed budget isn't yours. It's actually mine. Mine and many others that sponsor Surf City Live. No one has asked me to sponsor Surf City Live this year. They definitely haven't asked me to double my Surf City Live budget, which is in the approved proposal. My money's already there in the approved proposal, so is everybody else's, to double it. So you have an event with a proposed cost of $300,000. You're counting on money you don't have yet. You're also assuming that sponsors want to double their cost to sponsor a second day. I cannot successfully budget for my restaurant by hoping more customers to come through the door than the year before. You are counting on sponsors to increase their contribution when they haven't. The town doesn't need an increased budget for this event. They need an event that fits the current budget without a third of it to come from business owners. In the past 8 years, our restaurants donated nearly $100,000 to charities, fundraisers, various nonprofits. What we love about this community is that everyone gives, whether it's a little or a lot. But now we have an event that profits the town. We have businesses being asked for money so the town can make money. When I consider sponsoring an event, I consider who it benefits. It could be a veteran, a cancer victim, a school student to attend a band camp, or even a lower the cost of a t-shirt so a child can participate in youth sports. Who is benefiting from this event? The entire community didn't get to attend. Nearby businesses didn't get a boost in sales as promised. You had 2,500 people that paid to have a good time. People that paid had a good time. When I pay for an event, I have a good time, trust me. Don't put the responsibility of funding on the sponsors. In closing, I would ask for one thing: slow down. Think about every community member you represent. Some of you are new on the town council. You're new because people wanted honesty and transparency. You're spending our money. Think about your community. Every member you represent, everyone should be able to attend at little to no cost. When we were first asked to sponsor, it was to drive the cost of the event down so everybody could attend, not to increase the ticket price year after year after year. Next year's ticket price is going to be $70. Create events that just allow everyone to attend. Spend my money wisely, please. Thank you for your time.
Desiree? Taryn?
Okay, I'm not as good as some of them. I had to write it down because I'll get up here and shake and be nervous. But I'm basically here today because of some things that I've seen. I want to start by saying thank you so much to the town of Surf City for putting on this event. We have lived here 8 years now, and for the first time in 15 years, see, I'm going to cry, I was able to take my family to a concert. I have a family of 7 with 5 children. Typically, I go to a concert with a great entertainer is going to cost me upwards from $150 to $300 a ticket, and that's probably going to be in the nosebleed. I couldn't afford anything like that, and you create an event right here in my hometown that my family can attend and I can afford to take them. Sure, not everybody can do it, but I'm going to push really hard every year to be able to make this event, and I appreciate you bringing that right here. Last night I got a few calls and texts from several friends saying that they saw some posts on social media and that this week there were people concerned about the live event. Those folks were going to today's town meeting to essentially thrash the event. First, I was confused, thinking, why were people so upset about it? The event is epic for our community in my eyes. Then, as I do in everything, I tried to see all sides of it. I read what was posted and I tried to really hear it. Then I realized something. Some of these folks who made accusations or determined things based upon assumptions or words of others and not by doing any deeper thought. We have a problem in our community sometimes, keyboard warriors and those that don't actually know what is going on, along with folks who have personal issues with people deciding to have opinions. Opinions are great, don't get me wrong, but maybe basing them on facts is best and not necessarily your internal feelings about a certain person. Did any of these folks actually go to a PSET meeting? Did they go to the council and the organizations who put it on, the town members, the council meetings for the last year? Do they really know what it took to get the event going, how well executed it was? Do they know how many lives it affected for good? Do they know that sitting council members, town employees, and local businesses volunteer thousands of hours and tens of thousands of dollars for this event, and why? Because these folks support Surf City. They believe in the ability of our town officials to do it right. They support you. They believe that what makes a difference here, and that they want to be a part of it all. When budgeting, I would expect council to see what was spent, what was made, and what they need to continue to make it even better. Investing in our town and our people is priceless. More revenue will bring more help to our community, period. Streets, parks, anything. I heard complaints that was mainly locals as well. That attended the event, essentially. Did those that thought about maybe that us locals were right there trying to get in the concert right in our community? I flew 3 family members from Oklahoma. I had 2 friends from across the strait, 3 from Virginia, and gave away 2 more to local family.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Joseph Mosley.
Morning, Town Council and Mayor Matz. I am Joseph Mosley. I am not speaking today to disparage or bash the concept of Surf City Live whatsoever. Many people are focusing on the monies and stuff, but mainly what I want to focus on actually is the negative impact that it does to our business, being that we're right across the street from where the event is held. We're Jams on the Water, so we're literally right across the street behind Max's Pizza. And we have one of the largest parking lots around. And so when these events are held, most of these people don't have any parking. There's no, whether it's free parking or what, you have thousands and thousands of people coming to this event, and there's not thousands and thousands of parking spots. So I put out my no event parking signs, as well as Max and Regina Leffler from Max's Pizza. And people still, as they're coming to support one of our businesses. But when my business inside is empty and my parking lot is full, there's not enough tow trucks in eastern North Carolina to get rid of all of them to bring in business. So it just leaves us with a full parking lot, and it's our sales are decreased, obviously, and the potential for new customers to come in and dine with us is decreased significantly. And they come in and fill our parking lot, and it's not local law enforcement. It's really no one's fault. And again, we're not against the event, but we do not benefit from it in terms of business. People are, once they go into the event, they cannot come back out of the event. So they don't leave until very late. So, after the event, the traffic, they all flood back over to our restaurant. All of my employees are cleaning up. My kitchen staff is cleaning up. My wait staff, who didn't really make any money, the labor that I'm paying for the kitchen staff, because they're hourly employees, some salary, they all clean up, and then we all sit in a very long line to get out of there. So it's mainly our parking, and it's where do these people park? Where are they supposed to park when you have 7,000 people, 4,000 people? You're bringing in a national singer and spending $130,000 on somebody when you could bring in a free, or someone much smaller, and have a free event and not have as much problem with parking. I can tell you that when we have smaller events such as the parking is a lot easier to control. But when you bring in Scotty McCreary or anybody big like that, the parking is essentially, it's just not even worth us opening. So thank you guys. Have a wonderful day.
Amy Proctor.
Good morning. My name's Tammy Proctor, and I'm the current director of the Greater Topsail Area Chamber of Commerce, and I am not speaking on behalf of the board. I am going to speak as a former tourism director who supported Surf City Live for 2 years, because the goal of Surf City Live was to extend the tourism season. And that has been achieved in Surf City and Topsail Island. We pretty much are busy from May 1st to the end of November. And Surf City Live was a way to bring people in. And I can tell you that our neighbors own a restaurant. They said that it was like the 4th of July on the night of the Diamond Rio concert of all concerts. That just surprises me, sorry. But so I know you have accountability and transparency, and I hope you continue with that mission of extending that tourism season. And I also want to give kudos to Jody and the Parks and Rec Department. They worked tirelessly. They did a great job. It was very well organized. And so I just thank you for your consideration.
Sharon, Blair? That was all.
Okay, so at this time, we will move forward with our first item on the agenda. Thank you all for being here again, and thank you for public speaking for what you believe in your town. So, the first item on the agenda, we kind of like switched it around because we wanted the Army Corps time needed to be adjusted, so we adjusted their time to where they were the last item on the agenda. So, at this time, I'm going to call on our town manager, Kyle Brewer, to present Surf City Live 2024.
All right. Good morning, Madam Mayor and Council, and all the wonderful people out there. Even I feel a little nervous speaking after all those great comments. Certainly appreciated. I'm not going to belabor everything. A lot of the information was put within the packet. So staff is requesting a budget ordinance amendment to establish the budget for the Surf City Live 24 event. It is being requested that the budget for the event be considered at $300,000. This is an adjustment from what was presented to you in December, which included $500,000, and that was communicated to the board as being a two-day event. This event is still scheduled as a single-day event, and that's what the funds would cover. A draft line item revenue and expenditure budget is provided in your packet and was published as part of the overall agenda. It highlights expenditures being taken from Fund 21, which is the accommodations tax fund, which is generated through certain short-term rental income to the town. Revenues from the event are projected to cover expenses and are generally derived from ticket sales, beer, wine, and merchandise sales, and sponsorships. Other revenue sources include vendor fees for food trucks, which is a minimal portion of that. I will just kind of highlight real quick, it was stated about the increase in cost. The budget was put together in looking at expanding the VIP opportunities, which is where our sponsorship comes from, in regards to the number of sponsorships available. Sponsorship costs were projected to remain the same. And then ticket prices were looked at, and it was evaluated to try and get a small increase. I believe it was $8 across the board to match the revenue to the expenditure. So that, therefore, Madam Mayor, that's really the overall of what is being presented. A lot of the details, the town does not enter into contracts with anybody, with artists, with production. We cannot do that until a budget is approved. So there is no contracts with any new artists or anything of that nature. As it was mentioned, this event, if it is done, does take a while. So therefore, we're here in February. We were here in December. Trying to get a budget approved for this if this event is going to take place in November. I will obviously try to answer any questions that the board may have in regards to the proposed budget.
Does anyone on council have a question that they'd like to ask Kyle?
I have a question. What was our budget for 2023?
So the budget for 2023 was at $225,000, which was, again, a budget is a projection of what the town is going to need to expend. The total expenses for 2023 were $208,578.12. So.
And then for our VIP sponsor totals for 2023?
Yeah, so 2023 sponsorship, so cash sponsorship, $88,000. And then we had $11,000 of sponsorship in kind, so just under $100,000, Councilwoman.
And then what's it proposed for 2024 for VIP?
So for 2024, we had set aside $125,000 in sponsorship. Discussion of adding that comes from that discussion of adding additional VIP or sponsorships, and then the ticket sales projections for the 24 event.
So we're adding additional seats to the VIP area, essentially, is what we're trying to do.
Potentially, yes.
Are there additional seats for regular ticket sales?
That we have not determined any potential addition. So year over year, we do evaluations of how this goes. Last year, I will say we had gaps in the area that could hold tickets. Or could hold additional seating. So I think what we had talked about was a potential for an additional 250 seats. But that venue, obviously, everybody knows the layout of that. It is very restricted in what we can look at. So ultimately, about 3,000 people is the max in which we will be able to perform.
Minus VIP, how many tickets were sold last year, and how long did it take to get those people to purchase and respond and be?
I believe it was around 200 total in VIP, VIP sponsorships.
Outside of VIP.
Oh, outside of VIP, it was about 2,750, I want to say.
And
Right.
that ticket cost was, I guess it was varied. Maybe
Yeah, it
depending
depends
on
on where
seats.
you're at. I want to say off the top of my head, general admission was set at somewhere around $32.50 or something like that.
But we sold all the tickets. Okay.
Ron, you have a question?
Yes. What, do we recall the amount of time it took to sell this concert out?
2022, so the question was, how long did it take to sell all the tickets? 2022, for Diamond Rio, it took until the day of the concert. We did sell out for Diamond Rio. Scotty McCreery, that sold out within the day. So we put it on sale. According to the contract, we had to offer that to a Scotty McCreery fan club for a certain amount of time, and then once we opened that up to the public, it sold out. I want to say 16 hours. I mean, we were tracking it.
So basically, can you hear me? Basically, the better, I wouldn't say the better the act, the more current the act, the possibility of selling out faster is quite evident.
I'll just say that, we do try to pull, folks that we work with within this industry. Country genre generally is popular. Again, not discussing personal taste, but yes, I mean that is something that we do look at. Because if we did have something that was more obscure or something different that we didn't have a demand for, that would pose additional potential risk, of course.
Thank you. Thank you.
So our current, like last year for the 3 acts that we had, it was $74,000, and our proposal for 2024 is $130,000.
Yeah, so we looked at, let's see, basing it off an assumption was, yes, $130,000 for just the artist.
And is that the biggest part of the proposed budget that you see funds going towards?
Yes, so the actual artist, and then what we do is, going into this, again, it was very important for me to have assistance in obtaining production, fulfilling writers for artists. So we put out a request for proposals for somebody to fulfill that role. So, the ECE, who is the vendor, I guess, who manages all of that. There's a significant cost with that, but underneath that includes production, so lighting and sound, et cetera, that gets brought in for the event.
I guess my main question is if we spent $208,000 and our big jump there is that $50,000 for increased acts or to upgrade our acts, how are we at $300,000? Because that's a lot of money.
Yeah, so again, everything that we put in the proposed expenditure line item would equate to that $300,000 number. In years past, we have developed the budget the exact same way. Our expenditures are going to match the revenue that we are projecting. So therefore, as the only thing I can kind of allude to would be going back to prior years, we budget for more than what we're anticipating. So even with a 225, we spent 208. Was the outcome of that. And I believe, I don't have the Diamond Rio budget in front of me, but it would have been very similar to how that is set up.
You have any questions?
I do.
You do?
Were you able to determine if there are any other municipalities that participate in this type of event where they put up this kind of budget for themselves? It's not private.
Yeah, so that's a good question. We tried to do some digging. I think the closest or response that we could get back, the city of Kannapolis holds ticketed events. They have an indoor venue. I cannot report on what acts they're bringing in, what the cost parameters and budgets that they have. I apologize, I can't.
That's fine. Did you get any response for those that said no on why they did not?
I don't think so. I'll kind of allude back to Jody in the back, but she's shaking her head no.
Okay. I just wanted to share. I think Surf City Live was great. My wife loved it. I think everybody loved it. But I don't think it's a government project. I don't think government funds and government resources and government staff should be used to put this together. I don't know if this is now the time for me to mention this, but I think it creates an undue burden on the staff. I think it creates stress on me. And I don't even work on it. I think it probably creates undue stress on our town manager, on our Parks and Rec director. It's not part of their regular job description up until 2 years ago. Like I said, I know that sounds like I'm hating on Surf City Live. That's not the case. I feel like if somebody else were to come in and host it, it would still be a successful event. It just gives me I have a real issue with using government funds and government resources and government employees to host an entertainment event. Any other questions right this second?
I've thought through some of that too. I can understand that, but I've also met with the Parks and Rec. I see a lot of pride in what they've achieved in this event and other events. And so I think about the Christmas tree lighting, the fireworks and things like that. I mean, like, I follow you, I get it. what's been concern of me for me is I've wanted to make sure I sit up here and do this part-time, and it's not my income, how I provide for my family is sitting up here and everything. But there are people who work for the town. This is what they do every day, and this is their career that they've worked hard for. This is the pay they received. They get paid to do this job. I have great faith in our town manager and the other people in our offices here. And I've been several issues, just being a new council member, when we've been talking about plenty of things here. I love talking to the community and hearing what you guys have to say. But I really also want to always circle back and talk to the town employees who it's their job and they're affected daily and they're making decisions and they're looking at their budgets and they're trying to be successful in their own mind and for their benefit, for their future, their career too. And so I kind of, when you said this puts undue stress on the staff and whatever, I said I would say, well, we could probably put that title on a couple of the other events. I mean, there's several of the events that are just difficult. I mean, they're just challenging, but it's also their job. Like I know that some of the events are a lot of work, but that's the Parks and Rec Department's job is to put on these events. And so Jody, I know you haven't spoken today, but I do value all the information you've provided here today, and I do think your team has done an incredible job on this event and others. So. And I thank you for treating it so professionally and just taking it so seriously. So.
I have a comment. Councilman Cannady said one of the things he said is maybe possibly take this and turn it over to somebody from the outside to come and run this event. Now you're questioning the $300,000 we're budgeting for this event to get a better act, to spend a little bit more money to get something to virtually make more money. You're going to hire somebody from the outside. I can only anticipate we're going to start at $300,000, and that person's going to want more money to sponsor or not sponsor, to run this event. All the things that we do in the town and all the people in Parks and Rec and in the office and the council members up here that volunteer for this event do it purely because we like it. You're going to get somebody from the outside. You're going to lose a little control over how it's done, and it's going to cost you more money. You can only anticipate that. And somebody's not going to come in here and do the same job for the same amount of money that we're doing when we do the work for it. Thank you.
Apparently, I need to clarify what my earlier statement. My statement was outside. We wouldn't pay somebody from the outside. Somebody the outside would bring their own money, and they would do their own thing.
Yeah.
So I apologize if I confused or if I misrepresented that. I apologize.
Okay.
You're good?
I have one I'll just finish with this. Again, I was a VIP sponsor. I had an amazing time. I don't have any qualms with the event as a whole. I do have to look at this from a business perspective. And last year we made $48,000 and we spent $208,000. This year we're trying to spend $300,000 to make $29,000. And that, from a business perspective, does not make sense to me. I can't see throwing almost another $100,000 at something to not make as much profit as we did last year. So somewhere, there has to be something in between that we find to make it work, rather than taking that big of a jump to make less. As a whole, I like the event. It has to be for profit unless it's for free, because our money that we use for Surf City should go to everybody in Surf City. Every single person should get to benefit from it. So if we're not making more money that goes back into Parks and Rec or something that every single citizen can benefit from, then I can't see that. So I have an issue with that, just the numbers.
Could I ask where this falls in the budget, where funds come from?
Yeah, so the Surf City Live budgets are taken directly through your Fund 21, which is your accommodations tax fund.
I'm not sure everybody knows what accommodations tax are.
Yeah, so that's derived from certain short-term rentals in which, the town collects on.
So rental companies collect monies from vacationers.
Or Airbnb, VRBO, anybody that operates underneath a certain amount of time has a 3% that is applied from the county side, 3% from the town side, and then that money comes back to the town.
And where, for that fund, where do we typically spend? I know that we didn't lose any money in our accommodation in that fund. I mean, we had a profit, and that profit was applied where?
It goes back into the accommodations fund. So,
But what happens with that fund? What do we typically do with the accommodations fund?
yeah, that's a good question. So, accommodations fund, we do a transfer to beach nourishment, which is what a lot of that pays for. Your accommodations fund goes to fund your ocean rescue program and all the equipment and training, et cetera. It goes to fund your beach patrol. So on the law enforcement side, we use that to maintain and operate our welcome center. We use that to fund staff for tourism related activities. We do a communications and marketing plan in which the accommodations fund goes through. We put money towards facilities and grounds, which does include street maintenance. There are some things that we do over on the island because of the impact that the tourists have. So that's, again, we could go through the budget season. If you guys want to get into this, we are more than happy to. I'm happy to provide all that information. But, it goes to a lot of things that, as I stress to you all as a board, we have a 4,500 person population, but provide services to 45,000. So it takes things like accommodations taxes to be able to do that. So
It's not our property taxes.
no property, real property ad valorem or personal property taxes. No.
All right, thank you. I just want to say from my point of view, as I have sponsored the event for the last two Surf City Lives, and it was a great experience. I do understand that it is a burden on certain businesses that are on rolling. It does affect certain businesses, and we probably could do a better job of some parking, regulating parking in those areas. I do understand that you don't see other towns doing this because money is not made. Other towns don't move forward in looking at their community and saying, hey, we're just going to do something for our community. We're going to try to bring people here to our community. That's why the event was done. We have definitely not made money on it. I know it's a lot of hours and probably very stressful times on our employees. And when I say on our employees, I mean over 100 of our employees. Every employee that we have is involved in this project up until the time the show takes place. So I do understand that there's a lot of stress that goes on. We are anticipating sponsorships and ticket sales to pay for this event. I've heard it, just the good and the bad. It's on both sides of it. Most of what I've heard today has been positive vibes from our neighbors in this community that sponsor the event, but there are two sides, and that's what this vote is about today. So I need this board to vote based on the information that you have in front of you with your budget and from the comments that our citizens have made today. So at this time, I'm going to ask, are we in agreements to a $300,000 budget?
Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a proposal to,
I need clarification on something before we make a motion. Because I feel like we're all getting ready to vote. Are we all getting ready to vote?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Why wouldn't I be? Hey, Brian.
Yes, sir.
Clarification on some of the conversations we've had in the past. And I asked Jeremy, he said refer to you. Would Councilman Shugarts be allowed to vote on this budget since he participates in live as a direct benefit from some of the VIP stuff?
At this point, as I understand it, it's just the budget. There's no actual contracts contemplated. When those contracts, or if those contracts are before the board, at that point, any board member who falls under NC Gen Stat 14234 would have to recuse his or herself at that time. But as I understand it right now, it's just setting a total budget. There's no line item for any individual contracts with any individual persons or entities.
Understood. Thank you.
That
So I'd like to make a motion that we approve what is presented for our budget for 2024 Surf City Live.
I second. I appreciate the spreadsheet with all of the numbers here, so I second.
I have a motion and a second to approve a budget for $300,000 for Surf City Live 2024. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign.
Aye.
All those opposed, raise your hand. The motion carries by the majority of the council, and Surf City Live budget is approved at this time.
Voting for $300,000. The board had voted $300,000 for the concert.
Yes, sir.
How come you can't fix ours?
At this time, I'm going to call for a small recess and allow those that want to leave.
Okay, Marty, take care.
Oh, well.
come back from recess, please. And we'll move forward to item number 2, which are committee appointments. And I'm going to call on Carla, our clerk, at the end to present.
So we have 2 openings. We're going to start with on Parks and Rec. We're voting by ballot today, so you each have a ballot in front of you. If you'll choose 2, sign it. You can circle or you can check.
Do we circle or split?
You guys are like Diamond Rio, you meet in the middle. You're welcome.
Can I see, make sure I marked that right?
Wow.
Yeah. I wanted to see it later. I was like, you did done.
He did expect that, wasn't it?
I know that, but how'd you know that?
Yeah, I noticed a couple of your trees need some more water all out there.
All right, let's keep down the conversation here. Let's be professional.
Please don't ask me to head.
So first choice would be, that's by everyone, is Elizabeth DePlago. I don't know how to say it. But we're going to have to do one more round on the second choice.
You all have balance already?
No. That's the 2 they're choosing from. The other 2 that got votes. Right? Because they each got 3. So they got to pick between those. Right. Okay. So, yeah, I will. Okay. So the 2 additional people that got votes were Terry Kutcha and Kelly Johnson. So those are the 2 you'll be choosing from on this ballot. So just choose one.
Choose one.
Choose one. Your 2 members you chose for Terry and Elizabeth for those. So that leaves 2 openings now on beautification and enhancement. So you'll pick 2 from these.
Not even in a tie.
The 2 you chose for beautification and enhancement are Jerry Edmond, or Eamon, and Richard Vesov.
Congratulations, Jerry.
Way to go, Jerry.
And that's all I have for that one.
Okay, thank you. All right, moving forward. Rules of procedure update. Again, I'm going to call on Carla to present.
This is a rules of procedure update, just to go along with general statute in regard to virtual or remote meetings. Remote participation, sorry. So the one line we would add, or is being proposed to be added to the rules of procedure is, in the absence of a declared state of emergency, remote participation by council members is not allowed. So I just need to know direction on that.
Rule 20.
I didn't put which rule. It's on,
What was Spark wanting to add that language?
Can I answer? I mean, several of us talked about it. We went to the Essentials of Municipal Government training for 2 days at UNC Wilmington under the School of Government, and this was something that was I learned and had some discussions with other town representatives who there was 100 people there from different towns and different capacities, and this was something that was presented that I wanted clarification on. And so after discussion and then calling the School of Government for further discussions, I learned that had been that council was not dialing in remotely to participate in town meetings. Most councils don't do that, and when we had COVID, there was some wordage and stuff done as a state of emergency, and that state of emergency had an end date. And so my understanding is that we continue to do it. And after speaking with the School of Government and some other officials and thinking about how higher levels of government don't allow it and don't, I felt like it. I felt like it just led to the integrity of our meetings and we would not have as much discrepancy in communication and things like that if we were all present. I understand that's challenging, but I know there's a meeting that I will miss. But this job is extremely important to me, so I make every effort to be here above other things. So personally, impressive.
Everybody does. Sometimes stuff comes up, though.
Correct.
Mr. Bryan, is this a law?
It's a murky area. Prior to COVID, the school of thought from the School of Government, no pun intended, was that you can allow remote participation, or at least the statutes contemplated that. Subsequent to the COVID legislation, they updated it, and that new law appears to suggest that you can only have remote participation in the event of a declared emergency, although the original law that contemplated telecommunication type participation has not been repealed. So I would say there's no cases litigating yet, litigating it yet, so I think it's somewhat of a gray area. But the new law does seem to suggest that remote participation is not allowed, and in no event would remote participation be allowed to form a quorum. So,
That's where that conversation started from. In the training that we went to, it was a quorum discussion, and then it led off to that, so yes.
Well, just off the top of my head, I'll just put this out there to see if it flies. There's not been a legislation to clarify. It's muddy waters. Since COVID, I think it's been determined that remote and Zoom is the new practice of businesses and whatnot. The board has to vote on whether or not they allow that to happen. I think that would refrain from abuse as far as, hey, I think I'm just going to stay home today instead of coming up. Whereas, and I'm not picking on John, other than his family's from the farthest away, I believe. You got where you grew up is farther away than for anybody else. Let's just say there's a family emergency that's not.
The closest family I have to me that is still living basically.
Okay, well, it's just hypothetical. Let's say for some reason, unexpected, you had to go back to Pennsylvania. It was something you couldn't get out of, but it's something that you wouldn't be able to participate in a meeting if you had to. We could vote on that and allow you in. So my suggestion is, let's leave it like it is until there is some kind of clarification from the courts or whatever that says we can't do it.
Just to clarify that, okay, in the last 2 years and a few months, there's been things that come up, and I'm very dedicated to what I'm doing, sitting in this chair, and I have missed quite a few things, and it's personal preference, but I think if you're dedicated to this place, this seat, you can arrange a vacation the first month of the week to start it on a Wednesday instead of a Tuesday.
What about a death? When can I arrange a death in the family?
You can arrange a death in the family, but, I've missed 2. But that's me
This would give you the opportunity not to miss those.
But I choose to do this.
Yeah, I understand.
I could have done that. I choose to be here, and
Hey, it's just
it doesn't make any difference.
Obviously, it's not your opinion. I appreciate that.
Excuse me. It doesn't make any difference to me. I weigh out what is important, and I believe this job is more important than vacations and things like that. So that's just my personal opinion.
I understand.
And I was with Trudy when we went to the seminar, and I agree with what we want to change. That's as far as
I thought a lot about this, and I do miss a couple meetings a year, and it affects me, but it also, there's several aspects. Number one, it puts a big burden on our IT department, the clerk, the manager. It puts a big burden on our city to have to make special accommodations to get me honed in. And then half the time you can't hear it, you can't see it, and it's unsafe and it's not a good practice. I don't know who's sitting next to me when we're talking about something, I just at the end of the day, man, I just was reading about our state house, our Congress, a U.S. House, people leaving the hospital to come to vote for something because they don't permit remote voting. It does not nurture what we're supposed to be doing here. If I can't be here, tough crap. That's why I'm counting on Hugh, Alicia, Trudy, and John to carry the torch and take care of it. And if there's a tie needs to be broken, she's the lady that will do it. And that's the process that we've set up. So I think that I'm big time in favor of this, and I think moving forward, I think it keeps us accountable and makes us realize that we have a responsibility. It's 2 times a month. Can't be here, something comes up, and we hope there's never a death or an illness, but if that happens, it happens. And you just excuse yourself, and it's a tough situation calling in. It really is. So that's just my take on it additionally.
So in the event that somebody wasn't able to make a meeting, and let's say there was a large item, we have the ability to then, as a council, table that for a later meeting as well, correct?
Yes.
So like if there was a real emergency, then we as a council can sit up here and say,
Right.
you
And
know,
we
feel like it's better to have everybody present making this decision so we can act to move that.
Yeah. And we do get the agenda well enough in advance to have our thoughts on that. So I didn't, I just, like I said, I learned this at that government class. I was thankful to attend that government class. I learned obviously more than just this little piece of information, but I thought, after my discussions with the School of Government and folks, I could see that it lends to the integrity of our organization to not have the remote dial-in. I'm actually from a technology background. I'm all for it. I know what you're saying, that our businesses are moving in that direction. But I do think that it can also lead to some questions about where that person is and who's sitting with them. Did they vote? Did we hear them well? Was that recorded? Can we go back and check it? And we've had some remote dial-ins, and it is challenging to have a conversation. So I just thought that it led to I was honestly, like I said, I was learning, and I thought I would rather us have good practices and put ourselves in a situation with good behavior. So.
Okay. Thank you all for your comments. At this time, I just need a consensus. If we all want to move forward, if you would raise your hand if you agree in moving forward. If you do not agree, and Hugh was the only one that we don't have a full consensus.
Can we call that a vote, because we're actually amending a adopted policy, so.
You want us to vote?
So we need
We were going to put
We'll
it
go to
on
regular
consent.
meeting, Brian.
Oh, this is just a discussion.
Yes.
It'll be on.
Regular.
I apologize.
March, regular meeting.
Thank you.
Item number 4 is resolution to set a public hearing for annexation for Tom LLC. At this time, Carla again will present.
Thank you. This is 9.48 acres, parcel number 42256473840000, asking to be annexed into the town. It has been in front of you before, and I did look into it. Everything was sufficient. So this is to allow to set a public hearing, which would be set for April 2nd.
You just need a consensus on this?
Just need consensus, and then it would be on March, and then we'll advertise at that time and send out letters to be ready for the April meeting.
Is there a consensus to move forward?
Yes.
Yes. All right, Carla, again, item number 5, the ordinance amendment for public trees.
Okay. We have been participating as a Tree City and Tree City USA with the Arbor Day Foundation for quite a while now. They have changed some of their requirements, and they ask that certain language be in the ordinance in regard to who would be responsible for our trees and making those decisions, as well as the maintenance of that on public trees. So the section 1628 would include that language that they are asking for, with some of it being found in Appendix A. So this is asking for consensus to add that into our ordinance to meet their qualifications.
Does anyone have any questions concerning the tree ordinance?
What is the language that I can't find it in this. I'm sure it's in here.
It's in your packet, but it's asking that we just be very specific about maintenance schedules, about what we're defining as public trees,
All right.
and how we determine what gets added and what gets removed. Yep.
So I have a consensus to move forward.
Yes.
Yes. Item number 6 is the ordinance amendment 17-103 for 10I and 10-18B. And I'm going to call on Kyle Brewer to present.
Good morning again, Madam Mayor and fellow council members. These ordinance proposals to you are for a repeal of certain sections that reference the CAC, or Citizen Appellate Committee. This committee, just a little bit of background for you, was a staff-created committee that initially was created to hear appeals on things like trash cart violations and parking violations that were being issued by the police department. Quite frankly, ordinance directing a staff appointed committee probably maybe should have never been there, but regardless, removal of this from the ordinance would affect change to get rid of this CAC. It does not get rid of any ability to appeal certain citations or violations of the ordinance. Processes are set up to hear those appeals, and that language will still be reflected within the ordinance. So this action would just be to repeal references to CAC or Citizen Appellate Committee.
You just need.
Just a consensus to move forward.
I agree. Trudy? Yes.
Yes. Trudy?
Yes.
All right, we have a consensus. Item number 7, I'm going to call on our Fire Chief Wilson to come up forward and present us with Fire Department surplus BOA.
Yes, good morning. Thank you for the time. And what you have in front of you is a budget ordinance amendment. As you're aware, we did sell 2 of our surplus fire engines this year. Fortunately, we were able to sell those trucks for a considerable amount more than what we thought we would be able to. And part of the budget process for this year, we knew that we were going to have to use some of those funds to fund the brush truck that's purchasing this year in this year's budget. But we have 2 other expenses we would like to cover. One of those is an untimely repair that had to happen to one of those engines before the dealer would take delivery of it. The pump was having problems, so we had to fix that. So we need $5,000 of that, of those sale funds to cover that cost. And then we're also asking for an additional $20,000 for the kitchen project. As you know, we've been working on this kitchen at Station 23 for some time, and even with a scaled back, I know you're staring at me there, Mr. Hugh, but a scaled back scope project even exceeded what we had budgeted for this year. So looking at the expenses that we're requesting out of the sale of the trucks, we still exceeded what we had anticipated revenue for those sales. So that's what we're asking for today, and a consensus to put it on March agenda. Any questions?
Chief, and I see everybody kind of looking down here. So Chief and I had spoke about this, and I directed him to go ahead and move forward with this. He laid out some of the challenges that they had with the project because obviously we approved that kitchen project as a capital item this year and was put in his budget. But understanding we can get this stuff taken care of and get done, and he has assured me that Viking refrigerators and stoves are not going to be installed in that.
That is correct.
Okay.
However, we do have a commercial stove that's being donated to us as part of this project.
Very good,
so.
thank you.
I just got a quick one for you real
Yes.
quick. So I understand however you slice it. Would you say that the proceeds that was over on those fire trucks is really helping cover those 20,000?
That's exactly what's covering
I just want to
this.
make sure. Okay,
Yep.
That's fantastic. We're not going to beat you up this year about
Yeah,
it.
the
okay?
used fire engine market exploded because of the cost of new vehicles and, of course, the lead times now. It's taken 3 to 4 years now to build a fire truck.
Still on Helm's hat when you need them, huh?
Hey, man, we miss him, but at the end of the day, yes, the proceeds are covering these costs.
So how much more is it going to cost to do the kitchen?
$20,000.
Is there a consensus to move forward and put this on the agenda?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Chief Voorhees, if you'll come forward and present a BOA for the police department abandoned vessel.
Good morning. How is everybody? It's good to be here. Good to see everybody. House Bill 449 was put forth by Carson Smith and passed, and it gave Surf City the legislative authority to deem vessels junked or abandoned, excuse me, and therefore remove those vessels. Ordinance was written. The manager and myself worked on that, and it was put before the council on January 10th, and it was passed. So the ordinance is now on the books, but to actually enforce that ordinance, we have to have the funds to remove the vessels. We're asking for $15,000 be transferred into our contracted services line so that any vessels that come about that have been deemed abandoned and meet the ordinance can be removed.
Madam Mayor, if I may, just as an update, Chief and I went down to Wrightsville Beach to have a discussion with representatives of North Carolina Wildlife Resources, other counties and towns who are dealing with this issue, and then also the North Carolina Coastal Federation. The state has provided appropriations to the Coastal Federation for removal of abandoned and derelict vessels. The standard process that was in place was that any complaints wildlife would investigate, not bashing them, but at their leisure when it met their time frame, and we're competing with other resources to get that sort of attention, and then it get put on a list, and if the Coastal Fed had the money to remove, they would do that. So we learned quite a bit. We want to make sure that we are a resource to wildlife because we can do enforcement of this, and Chief will make sure that we do a great job at that. But our top priority is still going to be to request the resources that have been provided by the state to the Coastal Fed for removal. But as Chief and I had talked about, having something in place so that we can execute on items that we feel necessary, that we've got to execute on. So that's what this money is for. I just want to give a little bit background on that to council on it. So.
Thank you. Is there any other questions? If not, is there a consensus to move forward?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
Get that thing out of there.
Thank you.
Sure.
All right, item number 9 is the summer camp fees, Parks and Recreation and Tourism, and I'll call on Jody Shepherd to come forward and present.
Good morning. So this morning before you, I have some documentation about recommendations for our Surf City Summer Camp fees for 2024. I apologize. I'll move that around. So we are recommending that we move our summer camp resident rate to $235, our non-resident rate to $285. That's for our traditional summer camp, which is typically weeks 1 through 8. And then our best week ever summer camp, which is our week 9, which is for our teens, that resident rate being $240 and the non-resident rate being $290. In your packet, there was provided some information that showed the summer camp expenses and those elevating due to being able to utilize Surf City Elementary School as an additional location, as well as we have received feedback from the community requesting that we move to a resident, non-resident rate and give our residents priority to be able to register for our programs in advance prior to non-registrants. So you will also see the camp revenue growth with staying within the margins of what we've done in the past. With what summer camp has brought in after covering our expenses, you'll be able to see that if we move forward with these recommended rates, we will be able to be in that same margin or slightly above.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions or discussion for Jody?
I don't have a question, but I have a comment. I would just like to thank Jody for the work she did with Pender County to get us to be able to have our summer camp at the middle school. Thank you very much. I knew it was hard work.
I was going to say too, for the time that I've been in the Parks and Rec Advisory Committee, like I've had a child in the summer camps. The Surf City summer camp programs are amazing. Having the secondary location at Hawley Ridge for the last year or two, I think, was one of the biggest complaints that I heard from friends and residents. So I love the idea of doing it at the school. Not only is it a place that our residents, for their children, they're already familiar with, but the grounds and facilities and all of the stuff that they'll have to use there is really awesome. And I still think that price-wise, our rates are better and definitely comparable to anybody else, especially given what they do with going on field trips twice a week and all of the fun activities that you guys bring in. So again, kudos to this program as a whole, and I'm excited to see it at the elementary or middle school. I don't know which site you're actually doing it at, but
Elementary school.
yeah. But it's going to be awesome, and I'm happy to see that partnership with Pender County and the school as well.
So you just need a consensus.
Yes, ma'am.
Is there a consensus to move forward?
Yes, move forward. Yes.
All right, thank you, Jody. Next item is you as well, BOA Parks, Rec Tourism, part-time staff.
So with that expansion to the Surf City Elementary School location and the increase of children that we can accommodate within that location, we do need to increase the amount of personnel that we do have to be able to be adequate for the amount of kids with the counselor ratio. So I'm requesting a $30,000 increase to be able to cover those additional four part-time staff members.
Is the increase in the new fee?
Yes, that all is reflective.
Takes care
Yes,
of
sir.
that.
It's covering the cost of all of those areas.
Excellent. Yes.
Is there a consensus to move forward?
Yes. Yes.
Thank you, Jody. Item on the list is special resolution contract instructor, and our town manager, Kyle Brewer, will present.
All right, and I believe we'll have to have a recusal for this, Mr. Attorney. And
Yes. Under the general statute regarding contracts with elected officials, the town of Surf City falls within the small town exception, so those type of contracts can be entered into. The statute defines elected officials to include any business that is either the elected official or his or her spouse owns 10% or more, and I understand that that's applicable to this proposed contract.
Yeah, and I'll go over it real quick. So the Parks, Recreation, and Tourism Department regularly contracts with individuals who provide services back to that department and back to the participants. So, yoga, we've had some dance classes, et cetera. That it's not our staff that are instructing those activities. So what we have before you is a contract for a contract instructor that, and again, all the contract language is all something that's already been generated. We've been using these things for years. But with the special resolution, it would be to enter into contract with Tracy Shugarts to serve in a contract instructor role to provide volleyball instruction and clinics within Parks and Rec facilities. Again, there's generally a revenue split that goes to the town and back to the contract instructor. There is nothing that is different with this contract. It's merely based on the statute reference in which the attorney had spoke about. So I can try to answer any questions. Of course, Jody is here as well to be able to answer those questions if there is any.
Before we go into any further discussion, I think it would be appropriate for the recusal to occur at this time.
Do I have a motion to recuse Mr. Shugarts from a vote?
I'll make that motion.
I second.
It's vote and discuss.
Vote and discussion.
I'll make that same motion. Yes.
I second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Jeremy Shugarts is recused from vote. And discussion.
And I will say, this is not, we don't have a line of people that are volunteering or want to provide this contract service to hold volleyball camps. It's just a mere process that we have to go through.
That's my question. Anytime we have this, conflict of interest, so to speak, I always want to make sure that these opportunities for employment, part-time employment or temporary employment or purchase or whatever, that opportunity is given to other businesses or individuals or whatever, that, we're not handpicking anybody, but, that we, there's, that there's other volleyball people or whoever who are also being considered, so, equally, yeah.
This is going to be a consent. Should we vote?
Have to recuse yourself from consent agenda if we don't.
Yeah, logistically, it'd probably be better to go ahead and vote to pass a special resolution, if the vote is to pass the special resolution now. Otherwise, if it's on the consent agenda, we'll have to go through the recusal process again.
Okay. Is there any further discussion? Okay, so at this time, can I have a motion to approve the special resolution contract instructor?
I'll make a motion, we approve the special resolution contract instructor.
I will second it.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, next item is the Surf City Army Corps project update, and I will.
I don't know if they're putting on introduction music to come into.
Drum roll.
I know that our communications officer was working with them. Let me try to see, but our dear friends at the Army Corps, we've asked them to come here to give us an update on the Surf City Coastal Storm Risk Management Project. So I believe they're here to give that update whenever they're ready. Kent Tranter is our project manager, and I think we are expecting Bob Kiesler as well.
Who goes first?
Good morning, gentlemen. You're up to the mic. Yeah.
Good morning. Nice to see y'all again.
And I've given our IT department the pictures, so whenever you want to refer to them, just give them the cue and they'll line them up for you. Cool. The floor is yours, sir.
All right. Am I hot here? All right. Good morning, Mayor Batts, Town Council, community of Surf City. My name, again, is Kent Tranter. I'm the Civil Works Project Manager for the Surf City Coastal Storm Risk Management Project. With me this morning, I've got Mr. Bob Kiesler, who's the Chief of Project Management and Programs for the Wilmington District. First off, I just wanted to thank the mayor and the council for the opportunity to come up here and give you guys an update on the project, and then I can talk a little bit about just what the town might experience during construction, things they might see, access to the beach, and some points like that. So I'll pick up kind of where we left off last time, which was back in the summer. And just for a little bit of background for folks, the scope of the project changed, obviously, when North Topsail Beach decided that they weren't going to participate in the project. Under the rules of the Disaster Recovery Act of 2019, which the project was funded for construction under, the fully authorized project had to be constructed in order to use that funding. So that put us in a little bit of a dilemma with the scope changing and not matching the funding. So we had to make the determination and go back and figure out how we were going to proceed with that. The result of that was that general reevaluation report, which you'll hear me refer to as a GRR. Which is a report that would go back signed by the chief to basically de-scope the project, making it a Surf City-only project, and deauthorize the other section of the project. So back in the summer, we briefed the Assistant Secretary of the Army for Civil Works, who has the authority to do that, to give us approval to do the GRR. We briefed him back in August, which I think was right around the time we were up here last time. We briefed him in August. We got approval finally in December, so it took a while to get that approval. But we did get the approval back in December. We got funding to complete the new study. And we have since then started that study, which is basically kind of where we are today. The team's in the process of completing the technical portion of that study. And then we'll submit that up. It'll go through our normal review processes internally before it goes out for public review. And then gets ultimately submitted up to the chief for approval. So rough timeline. That study is going to take probably about a year, maybe a little bit less. And then the project would go back to construction, and we could then go through a quick design update and ultimately get it out for solicitation and award for construction to start. That timeline to go from the report to construction, we're looking at probably putting beach on the sand roughly the end of calendar year 2025. So the risk in that plan, where I see us potentially getting delayed, after the report gets approved, it goes back up to the Assistant Secretary of the Army for Civil Works, who has to then move it back to construction. As I just spoke about, that process to get it from the study phase to construction phase took about 5 months. We're not planning on it taking 5 months, but the reality of it is there's potential in there for that to impact the schedule.
Yes.
What you had just said about end of 2025, sand on the beach, does that include, in that scope, does that include a 5-month turnaround at assistant
No, it
secretaries?
doesn't. We've got built in, I think it's a 90-day.
90-day, okay.
Right now.
That was it, sorry.
Thank you.
Okay.
So that would be a 2-month push past that, so we would be.
If it took
into-
5 months,
Okay.
yes.
I think Ken's just saying that's outside of our control.
Yeah. Understood.
We're estimating 90 days.
The other area of potential risk that I see with the schedule is we're going to go out, try to construct the project at one time, and that'll be the first time this is attempted for initial construction. So there may be, I'm not sure if conflict's the word, probably not. There's going to have to be some coordination with that, which may take longer. That's not in that schedule either, so.
It's basically from start to finish, straight through, not stopping.
Right, that's the plan that we have right now.
As far as a town, and I feel kind of that I'm speaking for all of us, that is what we are hoping for, a start to finish. I know it's going to save us millions of dollars if we do the start to finish. It will, only affect us, for, one period of time instead of breaking down and coming back and affecting us the next year again as well. So having that time frame just flow. I know we will run into probably some tourist season, as well as some turtle seasons that we're going to have to deal with. But I feel certain that our local people on those levels will be willing to make that sacrifice to get it done and safeguard their homes and property.
The breakdown, from what I understand, the breakdown is quite substantial, and that would be on Surf City, the town, as far as the cost of that, right?
It would be cost shared, yes, sir.
Yeah.
What's the total right now projected time from start to finish once you start construction, as long as there aren't weather impacts or other things?
Without environmental windows, we're looking at 13 months. It's kind of hard to tell you the scale of this. Right now, we're doing Wrightsville Beach, which is about 1 million cubic yards, and it's 5 months from start to finish.
A little less than 5.
A little less, yeah.
What's our total cubic yards?
6 million cubic yards.
Substantial.
And their beat, I was looking at it, I was like, wow. I can't imagine. You know, you sit there and you like, our beach is going to look awesome.
When we put a contract out for bid, we're going to say, we'd like you to build this 6-mile-long project with 6 million cubic yards. And then the contractors will bid. One contractor may decide to bring 2 dredges and finish it in half the time. One contractor may decide to bring 1 dredge, 1 big dredge, and spend a little time. So we try to give it an opportunity to get the most competition. That the competition drives the price. It's a very desirable job because of the size. So I think we're going to get competition. But being able to, once we advertise and award a contract, we'll sync back in on a schedule and be able to know we're planning to start this month and plan to finish this month and be able to track it a little better.
Have you done other projects of this scope?
We have, we've done initial construction for Wrightsville Beach, Cannady Beach, Curie Beach, Ocean Isle Beach, but none of them have been to this initial construction quantity. This is a large project on the East Coast.
Say that one more time, Bob.
It's a large project, not just in North Carolina, but the whole East Coast. So it's a initial construction of 6 million yards. The dredging contractors, every time we go to dredging conferences, are always looking forward to this contract. It's a desirable contract because of the size and scope.
Okay. Any other questions on the timeline?
So how big of a portion do you work on at a time?
So it's about 1,000 to 1,500 foot sections. And so they'll have a section that they've already, or sections that they've already completed. You'll have the active construction zone, which is about 1,000 to 1,500 feet, and then the sections that haven't been renourished yet. And that will move, again, it depends on how the contractor wants to break it down. If he has 2 dredges and wants to work at either end and work in, or center and work out, or they do one and they go, one direction or another. But they'll move up and down the beach. And can I get those photos?
Cue the photos.
So these are from Wrightsville Beach. There they are. So this is Wrightsville Beach right now. And you can see as they're building to the, I think it's to the north, the beach there. The active construction zone is kind of outlined by that yellow fencing, or sorry, orange fencing. Anything to the bottom of the picture or to the south has already been completed. That beach is open. You will see that there's a pipeline there, though. So that pipeline will most likely be there for you guys as well. But they will have walkovers over the pipe. So the beach will be fully accessible, both before, the construction zone and the portion that they've already done. It's just that section there that's kind of fenced off will be closed.
So in regard, and I don't mean to put you on the spot by any means, but if you go back to that other picture, in regards to, we see the draft profile and template of the beach, and I know you can't say exactly, but is this comparable? I mean, as we try to communicate this and the impact of this project to our residents and to our region, really, because it's, everybody is using the beach, is this something that is comparable from a visual standpoint? Because it's hard to I mean, even for me, it's hard to grasp and understand the full breadth of the nourishment project.
How wide their berm is?
I think it's comparable, the width.
300 feet is ours.
Yeah, so it'll be similar.
Okay.
It'll be similar.
Okay.
you have a beach that doesn't have dunes right now, or dunes that are damaged. This beach has already got, so the theory is in between renourishments, the dunes should not be impacted. That's what gives you protection. So we're always, in this case, we're renourishing the berm in between.
Right.
So it'll be similar. I think because of high tide, you have much less beach than they do now because of things. It may look a little bigger, but it's gonna be similar to that.
Okay. And do you know, sorry, I didn't think I was gonna get this specific with it, but I'm gonna seize the opportunity. I apologize, Madam Mayor and Council. Do you know where the tide was at in the cycle when this picture was taken? Or could we get that information? I mean, if you have a timestamp on it, and go back to.
We don't know about that particular picture, but we can go get you some information when y'all come to visit.
And we wanna come and visit.
When y'all come
so-
visit, we can
okay.
definitely another time cycle.
Okay, all right, thank you. Yes, we do, February 28th, I believe, so, okay, thank you.
So you're saying people can still access the beach, just not inside the orange?
Correct. They
Yeah.
access, here's the fencing, they can access this portion of the beach, they can access this is
And they can walk on the backside you see what?
in between.
So, in that, I think that's important as I've got my fire chief and police chief in here too, and you start looking at this and, we run a ocean rescue and beach patrol, so there wouldn't be segregated access north and south. Okay.
The other thing we'll do, and can you pull the website?
I can, the website? Okay.
When was the last time their beach was renourished?
Right. It's supposed to be every 4 years. It wasn't funded. This is 6 years ago. That's the same picture. That's just where it started. So when a contractor starts pumping, sand comes in, the water brings it in, it settles, the sand settles, and the bulldozers shape it to whatever design we have. So that was
Something I did there.
So renourishment happens every 4 years or every 6 years?
It writes a beach was every 4 years when funded, just because of the project. That's got nothing to, right now yours is authorized, is thought to be in the feasibility about every 6 years. But we look at the beach in between. If it erodes more, we would look to come in sooner. If you get storms that hit in between, we can ask for flood control and coastal emergency funds and come back and build it. So we've had cases where we built right to beach or Carolina Beach, and before it was time to renourish, a hurricane hit, and we were able to get supplemental emergency funds to come in and renourish it back to pre-storm conditions. So, what Kent's trying to show you now is this tracker, and this is something that would help you explain things.
So once we get into construction and get the contract awarded, the contractor will give us a schedule. This is a GIS-driven tracker that is on our website that we'll make available for you to put on your website that anyone can access. And it basically shows the sections. So think of those little boxes are, right, that's the orange fencing. With an anticipated timeline of when that will move to the next section. So if your house is along the beach somewhere, you can see where that section is, and with the dates provided, know that it's, the active construction zone will be in front of my house on whatever date is in there.
Green is complete, yellow is where they're working that particular day, and the pink is where they're planning to go. And it's a little misleading, it's not quite that wide. If you think about it, when we put a beach nourishment project, the whole purpose is to take the energy of the waves before they get to the shoreline. So part of your project is underwater. So the width there is showing the toe where the sand is meeting the ocean bottom out front. So at low tide and high tide, the beach is not quite that wide. That's just showing about how the width of where the sand's being placed on the shore and in the water.
That's Johnny Marshall here.
Yes, ma'am.
During this inertia, could you go back to the old picture, the original, the other picture?
That was on his.
Yeah, no, not that one before that one. Okay, so the section there where they're stopped, okay, and it continues. I assume it's going to go all the way to the end of the island to be renourished, correct? that section that's not done, is that going to be, like our beach, is that going to be open to the public? So they'll still be able to access from their houses, it just won't be the immediate places where you're nourishing, right? Correct.
So when that orange tape is up, and you shouldn't be in that area, of course, is that days, weeks, or how quickly does that move? I know we have the tracker and all that, but if you're staying right there in front of it, is it there all week?
We go down the beach probably 500 to 1,000 feet a day.
A day?
Yeah.
Okay.
And as soon as I say that, they're gonna have bad weather and be down in front of your house for 2 weeks, so. But on average, with good weather, they're clicking down. The bar source of this particular contract is the inlet, Masonry Inlet, a little more protected, so there's not as much weather issues. The bar for Surf City is gonna be offshore, so doesn't mean the sand will be just as good. Sometimes it's not, when I say bad weather, if it's rolling, that's tough for a dredging contractor sometimes. So that's part of the reason we think this will take a little bit longer. The quantity and your bar sources are offshore.
So in certain situations during the weather, they'd have to halt.
If it's bad weather, the dredge would have to go into safe harbor.
So, for future renourishments, obviously, we have 2 inlets on both sides of us. Is there opportunity to utilize sand from those inlets for our beach?
Under current policy, no.
Okay.
I know the north end is under a COBRA zone. I believe the south end is under a COBRA zone as well.
Okay.
And also, this to your 2 inlets is your offshore bar sources are closer than the inlets are.
Okay, understood. Thank you.
More expensive to
Sure.
What is the actual responsibility of homeowners when you begin this, as far as accessibility and the easements?
I mean, accessibility to the beach.
Like, I mean, I know you're coming in high enough, like their accesses are gonna be affected. Like, are they gonna be damaged? Is there repairs? Are they supposed to remove them? You're welcome.
No, good question. Part of the process, we'll get a report approved, permission to come back to construction. We'll sign a partnership agreement with the town. The town will finish the easement acquisition, so we have to have, the project is designed for 50 years of life. So that means we have a perpetual easement for 50 years. The town is already aware of that, working that, has been great to date on all that. Once that's done, what you're talking about is particularly in places where the dunes have been eroded or the beach steps come right off the house in the ocean, where it depends on wherever the backside of our dune is, if it impacts, we'll lay out our design and we'll know immediately, is this structure in the way, is that structure not in the way, we let people know. And I would say they need to have them structures removed before we would start pumping. Because it's a 13-year process, you might have more time in between if you start at one end and go to the other end, but that's a great question, things that logistically we have to make sure, Kyle, we would sync up as we go through.
And that's 13 months, not
Yeah,
13
yeah.
years. Yeah.
It's 13 months, I'm sorry.
So you would come in and look at the logistics of the project and make those assessments prior to actual construction, and then they would have a certain amount of time ahead of time if they needed to remove portions of their accesses.
We've got a project that was designed in 2014. The beach has changed a lot since 2014, so we made some tweaks when we got the money in 2019. This changed from having a Surf City only project. Beach has also changed. We may make some adjustments. Adjustments just means we may need to put more sand to protect it more because of erosion. So that might build a structure that we didn't have in 2019. So we go back and Ken's going to say update the plans. It's not starting from scratch. It's just making sure what has changed since we designed it last time.
And is that on the homeowners to take that portion down, or is that something that you guys would do as you approach those areas?
I'd have to ask, I think it's on the homeowners, but we can verify that.
So depending upon what kind of structure each home has, depends on how much has to be removed.
And there may be a good portion of them that don't have to be touched.
Correct. I think that's what
I mean, like, where we have access, we have stairs that go down and a deck that goes out. The deck doesn't go out as far as, at this time, doesn't go out as far as the berm. But we're adding to the berm, correct? So would we have to extend that platform to go?
It would depend on where the beach is compared to where we like to design it. So if our design is out in front of where your beach is, you wouldn't have to touch it at all.
Right.
If the beach is eroded so far back, we feel like we need to have a design and a dune further back that would impact your structure, but that's where we'd have to talk to you.
I mean, after the re-nourishment is done, that stairs presently sits on top of the berm now.
Yep.
Are we supposed to extend the stairs to go past the berm onto the beach? Because my understanding is you don't want people walking on top of the berm.
On top of the dune. The berm is the
Well,
actual.
the dune, excuse me. Because what happens is it develops a little sway, you know, and that's, we've seen it now with ours, with these storms.
I have to go back and verify it, but I think new walkovers are included as part of the project.
We'll go back and work, we'll go back and get that answer, so.
And two, you know, that's something that we will want to evaluate in regards to future hardened structures being put back onto the beach. Because a natural path is not a bad thing. You know, it's just kind of what people have been used to, is you build this deck structure, and then you have stairs, and then it's a maintenance, you know, year over year that you have to do. And you know, one thing that obviously we want to look at is removing those liabilities and time consumed by staff by, you know, putting nails in boards and replacing boards and all this other stuff. So it might be a whole different thought process as we reevaluate access to the beach.
I just look at it from the point of view now, but we had a structure rebuilt because of Florence, and it went out and it went down on top of the dune. But now you get people walking constantly to the beach, and they're walking another 15 feet out. But now that has created a valley, and the valley lets water come back in closer to the structure, and has undermined the stairs. You know, so I mean, to try to avoid that. Right. So that's why my question was to go out past it, and then, you know, so if your stairs get ripped off, well, that's the breaks. But we don't want to compromise the dune structure for the sake of having stairs.
So I will make an action item for us to understand all the X's and O's on this question and give you some cross sections to show it visually too.
Yeah, that'd be wonderful.
Just to clarify, you said you think the hardened structures are part of the project, but you're referring to the towns, not private.
Correct.
Yeah. Just making sure nobody hears that.
The structure built.
Well, and that too affects, you know, as our future capital planning, and for Mr. Carter back there too, is, you know, if we have a structure that, you know, we say, oh, it needs some work, but we know in 6 months, you know, that we're going to be doing this project, we might hold off on some of this stuff, so.
Mr. Tranter, you want to continue with your presentation? And we'll try to hold our questions off till the end.
Feel free to ask away. Really, the only thing left that I wanted to do was just to thank the town for all of their patience, their understanding, their hard work that has gone into this project so far, and I expect that to continue. You know, we're just as frustrated as you guys are, as the community probably is with the delays. Those delays have been internal to the Corps as a result of the scope change, and nothing that the council or the town has done has really caused those delays. So that's extremely frustrating to you guys. It is to us as well. So just to say thank you for your patience and understanding as we kind of work through these internal processes and get things squared away. So I'll leave it at that. Bob, did you have anything else?
I was thinking, y'all been a great dance partner for 20 years, so thank you.
So if you have any other questions on the list, if you want to go through them, and we have kind of like a little guide sheet here as far as
ask
like,
away.
true or false. I can ask you a true or false question.
Yeah, how's that?
We wouldn't be in this position. We would already have sand right now on our beach if North Topsail Beach hadn't pulled out. True or false?
I'll say if the scope hadn't changed, if the scope hadn't changed, the original schedule, barring anything other delays, probably would have been done with initial construction by now.
So, I always ask this question, and you already alluded to it. Kent and Bob, you guys have always been wonderful on the same part. Our frustration isn't with you as individuals. Our frustration is with the process and ultimately the protection that is so desperately needed. We made it through the January hurricanes this year, and then we get a call because we were out of town. We get a call or a text, and you have a high tide that had severely eroded the beach. So if any opportunity I always get, I stress the need, and I know that Kent and other members of the project team live here in the community and they visit the beach. Bob, you're probably an outsider, I think, with your colleagues over there. So I know you guys understand the importance of this. I ask it every time. Is there anything we can do? And you might not know right now, but if there is ever anything that we can do, please let us know. And if there's ever any issue or hold up on anything, please let us know. If there's something we can control. I mean, that's, I think, always an offer that's on the table, that we want to extend.
Right. No, you guys have been extremely responsive. I don't know of any, we just went through because this got switched over to investigations, completing a feasibility cost sharing agreement. I've never seen one take a month, and that's like extremely fast. And we were able to, I think from the time I got the approval or the notification to go, you guys had it back to us in less than a month, and then we still had to go through our review processes and stuff. But town's been extremely responsive, and I thank everyone for that. And I would just say, keep doing what you're doing. I don't have anything specifically right now that that requires your attention, but keep doing what you've been doing, both with us and with congressional delegations and things like that. They are working. They just work slow. It's a slow process. So.
Does anyone else have any questions? You can. A lot of them have been asked.
I think so too, but we have a lot of sea turtle lovers, so what's the impact for sea turtles?
Well, let me say I'm not an environmentalist. I'm not an environmental engineer, but we are going to expand the beach, which would give them more room for nesting. So I think it would help.
End result, right?
With that.
During construction.
Right. That's my question.
Okay. If it's a nesting period during construction, whether it's Topsail Beach, Surf City, North Topsail, Wrightsville Beach, we have what we call licensed turtle observers that walk the beach in the morning and identify. We say we're trying to work this area. They make sure that there's not a nest or nothing that we're going to mess with. If there is, we would make adjustments. The adjustment would be probably, and I'm an engineer, I'm not a biologist. In those cases, we would either relocate the nest or adjust the design. In this case, it's initial construction, we probably would relocate the nest if that's.
So we have a turtle group, yeah, and I take care of the nests in a 5-mile area. So, if a turtle crawled up and bumped into a pipe, she would go somewhere else. I mean, that's just her nature. She's not going to hang out there. So what they do is they come up on the beach in the evening. Nesting season's from May 1st to August 31st typically. And they come up, and if she were to bump into something, and it could be a chair, it just doesn't have to be your pipe, it can be anything, and she would turn around and go back out to the water and then come back up somewhere else. So we're talking about, how much of the beach is preventing her from getting up to the dune to a safe area and all that. Hopefully she'd come back in an area that's not blocked. and she would nest, because if she comes up too often, too many times, she gives up and she lays her eggs in the ocean, and they don't develop. So, but we have all kinds of, obstructions and issues. But that I was just trying to understand what your experiences are and what you know from other projects and stuff, and kind of what conversations have happened. I kind of understand. I do know what their habits are, and I'm seeing your project. We need you're right. The end result, we need the sand. Right. So.
We have lighting requirement. It's a 24-hour-a-day operation. So at nighttime, we have lighting specifications that are tied to turtles not to be attracted, trying not to try to minimize attracting turtles to the construction. The areas that we get caught on occasion is not where we've been, it's where we're going. So if they come up where we hadn't got to yet in land nest, that's why it's important for the turtle observers to catch it before we get there.
Yeah, we have people who walk every mile of beach before 7 a.m. every day, and we do move nests when needed. So, okay.
We did appreciate the letter the town provided, I think it was 2020, from your local turtle team.
Yeah, that was last year, Dr. Z, I always just call her Dr. Z, but yeah, she wrote a letter just expressing the need for additional habitat. That's true. And we submitted that back to the Corps. So.
Yeah, okay.
So in our NEPA process, we're requesting, and we've already started this process now for 2 years, to let resource agencies know we're going to be asking for any-time dredging. What does that mean? For initial construction, not for renourishment. And we're not asking for it during renourishment because we don't want to fight that battle today. But I anticipate there's going to be somebody in the world that doesn't like that idea. So that's going to be one thing that we go through permitting to get permission. Can we build it any time? If a contractor can build it in 6 months, that's what we're going to do. But we think if you make the period of construction shorter, you eliminate some of your potential contractors, so your price goes up, or you don't get contractors awarded at all. So we feel that 13-month date that Kent is put down a period for performance is kind of a good spot to be maximize available contractors and get it done in a fast enough time. Otherwise, it's going to have to, as Ms. Almond talked about, work between November 16th and April 30th and stop and come back the next year. And you're always rebuilding what you eroded away since the last time you built. So that's a harder process to build a project.
Well, we sincerely appreciate our relationship with the Army Corps, and you know that we're here. We're a phone call away, and we are on it. Whatever you need, we're ready to start. So you have our complete support. Anybody else want to add anything?
Nope.
Good.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We'll see you on our field trip.
Yeah.
Okay. That concludes our meeting. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
All those in favor, or a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. We are adjourned.